Namaskar, Jai Shri Krishna. Manifesting text 24 and text 25 of chapter 12, Birth of Emperor Pariksit of first Canto, creation of Srimad Bhagavatam. Text 24. Sarva Sadguna Mahatme Esha Krishna Manu Vrataha Ranti Deva Ivodaro Ya Yatiriva Dharmikaha. This child will be almost as good as Lord Shri Krishna by following in his footsteps. In magnanimity he will become as great as King Ranti Dev, and in religion he will be like Maharaj Ya Yati. The last instruction of Lord Shri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita is that one should give up everything and should follow in the footsteps of the Lord alone. Less intelligent persons do not agree to this great instruction of the Lord, as ill luck would have it, but one who is actually intelligent catches up this sublime instruction and is immensely benefited. Foolish people do not know that association is the cause of acquiring qualities. Association with fire makes an object hot even in the material sense. Therefore, association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead makes one qualified like the Lord. As we have discussed previously, one can achieve 78% of the godly qualities by the Lord's intimate association. To follow the instructions of the Lord is to associate with the Lord. The Lord is not a material object whose presence one has to feel for such association. The Lord is present everywhere and at all times. It is quite possible to have his association simply by following his instruction, because the Lord and his instruction and the Lord and his name, fame, attributes and paraphernalia are all identical, with him being absolute knowledge. Maharaj Pariksit associated with the Lord even from the womb of his mother up to the last day of his valuable life, and thus he acquired all the essential good qualities of the Lord in all perfection. Ranti Dev, an ancient king prior to the Mahabharat period, referred to by Narad Muni while instructing Sanjaya, as mentioned in Mahabharat Dron Parva 67. He was a great king, liberal for hospitality and distribution of foodstuff. Even Lord Shri Krishna praised his acts of charity and hospitality. He was blessed by the great Vasishtha Muni for supplying him cold water, and thus he achieved the heavenly planet. He used to supply fruits, roots and leaves to the rishis, and thus he was blessed by them with fulfillment of his desires. Although a Kshatriya by birth, he never ate flesh in his life. He was especially hospitable to Vasishtha Muni, and by his blessings only he attained the higher planetary residence. He is one of those pious kings whose names are remembered in the morning and evening. Ya Yati, the great emperor of the world and the original forefather of all great nations of the world, who belong to the Aryan and Indo-European stock. He is the son of Maharaj Nahusha, and thus he became the emperor of the world due to his elder brothers becoming a great and liberated saintly mystic. He ruled over the world for several thousands of years and performed many sacrifices and pious activities recorded in history, although his early youth was very lustful and full of romantic stories. He fell in love with Devyani, the most beloved daughter of Shukracharya. Devyani wished to marry him, but at first he refused to accept her because of her being a daughter of a Brahman. According to Shastras, a Brahman could marry the daughter of a Brahman. They were very much conscious about Varna Sankara population in the world. Shukracharya amended this law of forbidden marriage and induced Emperor Yati to accept Devyani. Devyani had a girlfriend named Sharmishtha, who also fell in love with the emperor and thus went with her friend Devyani. Shukracharya forbade Emperor Yati to call Sharmishtha into his bedroom, but Yati could not strictly follow his instruction. He secretly married Sharmishtha and also begot sons by her. When this was known by Devyani, she went to her father and lodged a complaint. Yati was very much attached to Devyani, and when he went to his father-in-law's place to call her, Shukracharya was angry with him and cursed him to become impotent. Yati begged his father-in-law to withdraw his curse, but the sage asked Yati to ask youthfulness from his sons and let them become old as the condition of his becoming potent. He had 5 sons, 2 from Devyani and 3 from Sharmishtha. From his 5 sons, namely, first Yadu, second Turvasu, third Dhruyu, fourth Anu and fifth Kuru. 5 famous dynasties, namely, first the Yadu dynasty, second the Yavana Turk dynasty, third the Bhoj dynasty, fourth the Mleccha dynasty Greek, and fifth the Paurava dynasty, all emanated to spread all over the world. He reached the heavenly planets by dint of his pious acts, but he fell down from there because of his self-advertisement and criticizing other great souls. After his fall, his daughter and grandson bestow upon him their accumulated virtues, and by the help of his grandson and friend Shibi, he was again promoted to the heavenly kingdom, becoming one of the assembly members of Yamaraj, with whom he is staying as a devotee. He performed more than 1000 different sacrifices, gave in charity very liberally, and was a very influential king. His majestic power was felt all over the world. His youngest son agreed to award him his youthfulness when he was troubled with lustful desires, even for 1000 years. Finally, he became detached from worldly life and returned the youthfulness again to his son Kuru. He wanted to hand over the kingdom to Kuru, but his noblemen and the subjects did not agree. But when he explained to his subjects the greatness of Kuru, they agreed to accept Kuru as the king, and thus Emperor Yayati retired from family life and left home for the forest. Text 25. Dhrutya bali samah Krishne pralhad eva sadagrahah ahar taisho ashwamedhanam vruddhanam paryupasakah. This child will be like Bali Maharaj in patience, a staunch devotee of Lord Krishna like Prahlad Maharaj, a performer of many Ashwamedh horse sacrifices, and a follower of the old and experienced men. Bali Maharaj, one of the 12 authorities in the devotional service of the Lord. Bali Maharaj is a great authority in devotional service because he sacrificed everything to please the Lord and relinquished the correction of his so-called spiritual master who obstructed him on the path of risking everything for the service of the Lord. The highest perfection of religious life is to attain to the stage of unqualified devotional service of the Lord without any cause or without being instructed by any kind of worldly obligation. Bali Maharaj was determined to give up everything for the satisfaction of the Lord, and he did not care for any obstruction whatsoever. He is the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj, another authority in the devotional service of the Lord. Bali Maharaj and the history of his dealings with Vishnu Vaman Dev are described in the 8th Canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 11 to 24. Prahlad Maharaj, a perfect devotee of Lord Krishna Vishnu. His father Hiranyakashipu chastised him severely when he was only 5 years old for his becoming an unalloyed devotee of the Lord. He was the first son of Hiranyakashipu and his mother's name was Kayadhu. Prahlad Maharaj was an authority in the devotional service of the Lord because he had his father killed by Lord Narasimhadev, setting the example that even a father should be removed from the path of devotional service if such a father happens to be an obstacle. He had 4 sons, and the eldest son Virochan is the father of Bali Maharaj mentioned above. The history of Prahlad Maharaj's activities is described in the 7th Canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna.